colleges may have to raise student fees and dig deeper than ever into scarce academic funds to cover sports' rising costs. $27 million a year on average at over 100 major schools.
What does this have to do with the purposes of a university?
Nothing. It has nothing whatsoever to do with education. What it has to do is something that's grown up, a goiter on the educational system, which is very, very visible, but has absolutely serves no purpose educationally.
Even at America's most academically prestigious schools, sports is having an impact. Places like Amherst College in Western Massachusetts.
Our standards are incredibly high. Amherst College is in the business of selecting and educating future leaders for this society and beyond.
Dissonance is a widespread common.
Amherst is an elite private college with only 1,600 students.
Amherst College is certainly privileged to have an astonishing faculty, to be ranked the #1 liberal arts college in America more than any other institution. And we take some pride in that because we are competitive.
Amherst's stellar reputation attracts more than 6,000 applicants a year, vying for roughly 400 seats.
Is this legal theory, or is there maybe an implicit theoretical...
Compared to other applicants, Jay Wagstaff didn't quite measure up.
I didn't do too well on my SATs. They turned out to be 1,100, which here isn't that great. It's really low for here. But
what do you mean really low for here?
I think the average around here is like 14 something. And so that was what was the one thing that was holding me back.
But Wagstaff had other talents.
3rd down and long. And then he's going to throw. Wagstaff makes the catch. And what a great catch over the shoulder by Jay Wagstaff. And maybe E.J. Mills is listening to you, Greg.
He's a kid that was a good student in high school, but he was a jock. He was a kid that played 3 sports, and didn't have probably a lot of other interests, worked hard in school, but probably not a typical, maybe Amherst student.
Is Jay what you call an athletic admit?
Yeah, I mean, the athletic piece was the thing that pushed him over the top in admissions.
Amherst's 27 varsity teams include some 260 so-called athletic admits. In all, 15% of the student body had the bar lowered on the way in.
We set aside certain spots in admissions to be able to have the most competitive teams.
Do you admit students who can't make it here?
We are not interested. It would be irresponsible for us to have students here who can't do Amherst-level work.
But many athletes admitted in the past came dangerously close. Standards fell so precariously in the 1990s, faculty gave it all a name.
They referred to it as the lurch. The football program had gotten so bad in terms of they lost 24 games in a row or whatever it is. I think some kids got in that maybe wouldn't have normally got in. And, we got successful very quickly.
We've been working now for a decade to try to raise the floor of those admits. The danger is that we won't win, and that would have problems in terms of the spirit of the place and the community of the place.
That's a mistake. Amherst is trying to be athletically excellent in our league and beyond. But then the question is who chooses
Athletic
to
admits
perform.
present a
They're saying
problem
partly that's
to professors like Elizabeth Aries.
I give an exam and the scores range from 98 to 45. That's a large spread. Now, most of the people are in the 75 to 98 range. And then there's a big gap. And then there are these people that it's like 45, 50, 55. And then if you look at who those students are, it actually turns out to be the case often, not always, that those students, some of those students are on these sports teams that we're talking about.
The trends are very clear that the athletes at these places are coming in with less academic preparation, and then as they go through school, they're also underperforming what would have been predicted academically of them.
Schulman analyzed the academic performance of more than 50,000 athletes at elite colleges.
They're not making the most of the educational opportunities. And this is my call. It's not, these schools may feel differently, but that is someone who's not taking full advantage of a place that is primarily about academics.
The dirty little secret of places like Princeton and Williams and Amherst and all of those schools is that in some respects, athletes lower the educational component. That's the problem.
They're not striving to get an A and aren't contributing to the conversations that other people might like to engage in at a more intellectual level. I think that's a mistake. I mean, at the bottom end, we've gone too far.
Jay Wagstaff was the bottom end of his class.
When I first came here freshman year, I took Calculus 11. And it seemed like it was the class I took senior year, but we covered basically everything in the first day that I did my senior year in high school.
Always the hard thing is a lot of our kids are used to doing really well before they come here. They're not used to asking for help. So, sometimes it's a big step for kids to go down to that prof and say, hey, listen, I don't get this.
I was shy at first with talking to professors, and I would be shy to speak in class.
Got to get over that. This is a place that if you're struggling, you got to ask people for help. Always my sage advice to the freshmen is, sit up front, take good notes, and find someone smarter than you to study with, which was never a problem for me.
So I found somebody, and it worked out, and I'm proud of the steps I took towards getting the grade.
Blue 18, red 7.
As a senior, Jay's grade point average was a 3.0.
I've greatly improved since my freshman year, and I'm proud of that.
The final game of the season was the biggest in Jay's career.
That is going to do it.
A win at home against arch-rival Williams.
The Lord Jeffs pour out onto the field.
Oh, it's awesome. Everything I thought it would be. Everything I thought it would be. It's great.
Wagstaff would go on to graduate and attend law school, but questions still remain about the fairness of athletic admits.
There's nothing wrong insofar as the case of the boy is concerned. Hey, you get a free pass or you get a bump up. Anybody should take that. I'm saying in his case, the question is, though, who was Mr. X who didn't get into Amherst because the athlete did?
And there's a price the entire student body pays when colleges fill their teams with athletic admits.
There's that argument. Sports builds character. And yet, what about the person who, wants to study chemistry, but wants to learn those lessons about collaboration and competition and drive and being goal-oriented? Can that person go play sports? That person walks onto the field. Coach says, sure, go stand behind those 7 players I just recruited from all over the country. We're finding the people who've been playing sports since they were 6, who've been pushing themselves, who've been goal-oriented, who've been running wind sprints at 6 o'clock in the morning. So a lot of the good things about college sports in terms of building character or learning about life are only going to the people who already had those lessons to begin with. And even for kids, sports are being taken so seriously and so focused on winning and raising the game to the next level that we focus on those goals rather than on the goals of participation and success defined in other ways. The whole thing has gotten out of whack.
College sports were intended to build sound minds and sound bodies, but most students are excluded from playing, and many athletes are denied an education.
We're losing the substance, and I think that's what's so very unfortunate. But I think it's like the Electoral College. It isn't going to change.
Throws into the end zone. It's good. Touchdown, Tennessee.
We kind of accept it. From the alumni, to the trustees, to the college president, to the faculty, to the students. We all wink at it.
For more information on Big Time Losers and other PBS programs, go to pbs.org. Principal support for this program was provided by the William and Flora Hewlett Foundation. Additional support was provided by Lumina Foundation for Education and the Annenberg Foundation.